Hello everyone. Today you're going to see Arnie make her Tyvek tent footprint and also her 2017 hike from the South Fork Holston River to the Mount Rogers Visitor Center.
Everybody have a blessed day and get out and hike. That's right, Tyvek tent footprint was quite an ordeal, but we got it done. And then this 2017 hike is the last one you're going to see. It's when we make 100 miles on the trail. Only took us 4 months and 30 hiking days to do it. But we did it, and there are another 180 miles in Virginia that hopefully I'll get up sometime as 2017 health hike and trail terrain. I'm not going to be as thorough with trail terrain on this through hike because I'm just not going to have the time. So at least hopefully by the time we get to Virginia I'll be able to put up some of those videos to show trail terrain. And then the next video after this is going to be the gear video and probably broken into several parts. So y'all stay tuned. We are about ready to head to Georgia and get on the trail, and the weather is awful. So it's definitely going to be a test. You think?
I think.
Not for him, but for me.
Good morning, everybody. I got the Tyvek in the mail. I got it off of Amazon, and it came with tabs for you to stick onto the Tyvek to then use with your poles, go down into the holes. It came with grommets already in it, and then all you had to do is stick it onto the Tyvek. And unfortunately, I got it. I didn't measure, that was stupid, but ended up the width wasn't quite enough, so I ended up getting some Tyvek tape from Lowe's to extend it. And G's not here to help me today because he's having to paint, so I just had to get on with this and get it done, and so it won't be nearly as professional looking as it would if he was here. But the big thing is I wanted the Tyvek tight because I want to be able to do a dry setup where the Tyvek and the grommets and the poles and the fly can be set up when it's raining, and then put the inner tent part in after that's up. So that's the goal of all this. So my next step is to take my little felt tip marker, which I'm not going to have you watch me doing it, but basically the videos I've watched have said go about 3 inches in from the side of the tent so that you don't get water under the tent when it rains. So that's my next step. I'm going to get that done. I'll just show you this corner here where I had to extend it. G says this tape does tear easily, even though it's super strong. So I've layered it, and it looks like it's going to hold okay. So this side, I don't have to cut too much off of. It's really could be better as a two-person job to do this, but just sometimes got to figure it out on your own. And this one is a little bit far out in the front, so I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. So I don't know. We'll see. I may have to work on it later and sort of redo some parts, but this will do for a start. So I cut out of the Tyvek, put the Tyvek tape to extend these pieces out to the leather-like tags that came with it, with the grommets already in them, and then I've cut it in approximately 3 inches from each side, maybe not quite. It's not absolutely perfect. I did have end up with a little bit of a bump right here. My skilled craftsman husband, I'm sure, could have done a better job, but he's working, so I had to do it, and did the best we could, and I think it's going to be fine. It definitely did fine in that snow the other night. It did not get any water from the rain that came along before the snow. There was no ice on top of this, no water that had turned to ice on top of this when I took that tent apart. So there is that, and set up so that now I can put the fly on top of it. Alright, I wanted to come and stake the tent out fully stretched out to check the Tyvek because I honestly thought I had missed it. But I haven't put the inside tent in yet to see if it moves anything, but it looks okay. I mean, it's not absolutely perfect. Tyvek down, fly down, and now I can put the inner tent in. Normally I would close this up, dry everything inside, and then start putting it up. For the sake of being able to see it with the camera, I'm going to leave it open. I would have had my backpack under my poncho on a rock or something, the most dry thing I could find, to wrap the poncho under it and around it. While I did all this, would have gotten the fly up and closed the door after I bring in the tent, and I would take off my boots to finish putting the rest of the tent in. I was kind of arranging myself so as not to, try not to stick my bottom in your face. But anyway, so it's definitely going to work. I obviously need a little practice, but I'm excited that it's going to work. And now I'm going to work on this Tyvek to size it perfectly. This is the first time I've actually had a chance to get out here outside, staking out the tent, getting it staked out as perfectly as I can. And the seams are lined up over the poles better now that I've got the main tent in there. So if I get the Tyvek right, then the fly will be right. So that's going to be the next step. And we'll let you see it when it's all finished. After all that I've done, I finally had an idea on how to actually start. So I'm going to show that, then whatever I need to kind of give an idea of how I made it. I'm sure there's people out there that could do this a lot better than me, who have ideas that probably never crossed my mind on how to do it. But anyway, we're getting it made, and hopefully we'll be hitting the road here soon. The biggest challenge that I had in doing this was getting it so that when I set up the inner tent, the floor was spread out in a good, nice, tight, firm way so that the tent had a good pitch. So what I figured out was, well, let's turn the tent upside down and tape it to the floor and stretch it out and get the bottom of the tent. So this is the bottom of the inner tent, and it's the part that will be sitting on top of the footprint. As best I can, I've gotten all the wrinkles out and got it at a good, what would be a good pitch. So now what I'm going to do is put the Tyvek on, also upside down, and check where my grommets are and see how they compare. Laid out the Tyvek as it is, what we're seeing is what would be on the ground, because it's all upside down. And now what I'm going to do is redo these corners and re-tape the tabs with the grommets onto the Tyvek sheet to make it fit the layout that I have now. And that's what I would do at the very beginning if I was to start this over. So I may not actually show all the ways I tried that didn't work, but just show that take the sheet of Tyvek, make sure you measure You know, lay your tent out like this and measure, because I actually should have gotten one more foot. I needed about 6 inches. So be sure and measure from these corners, because what would be ideal would be if the corner of the Tyvek came to the spot. So that you can't really see it because I've got it all covered up now, but the one I got off of Amazon came with this, I don't know if it's a vinyl or a leather piece that's about this long, and they had already put the grommet in it. So ideally the corner of the Tyvek would be here and here, and basically you could then take this tab and put it on top of the Tyvek so that it would fit onto the grommet here, and then you could cut whatever you needed to out of the Tyvek and then add more tape if you feel more secure doing that. That's what I would do if I was going to start this over. And then once it's cut, when the tent stands and the sides are pulled up, it's only in about 1 inch to 3 inches from the side of the tent. Right now it's showing it in, you know, a foot or more. But in reality, once the tent is up, the Tyvek's into about 2 inches or so from the sides of the tent, so that rain doesn't get between the Tyvek and the tent floor. So I'm going to redo these, and we'll see what we've got. Of course, hindsight is such a wonderful thing. What I would do at the beginning, if I was doing this again, is I would then take the tab that I got. It wouldn't have all this Lowe's tape over it. It was just a white leather-looking tab with the grommet in the center. I would put it so that it goes along the 45 out from the corners. Lay this over it so that it's getting the right angle, and tape it down. And then I'd start working on laying out the Tyvek and taping the corners of the Tyvek to this. Now I have all 4 corners taped, still have them taped to the floor. Because I ordered about 6 inches too little on my length, I've got one really long strap, which it'll be fine. That Tyvek tape is pretty tough, and I'll put a layer of duct tape on top of that. So by the time I tape it up, it'll be fine. And then the other corner. And then it's laying out nice and smooth. So if I set this on the ground, put the holes in it, put the fly on top of that, we have a fast fly. And when you're doing a fast fly, there's no grommet and there's nothing to hook this into because it goes into the inner tent. So we put a little piece of cordage, which I'm probably going to make a little bit shorter. You can see I have pretty short fingers, but you can see I think I made it a little too long. But basically, when the pole's here, the pole is through the grommet in the Tyvek, and I just pull this down back under and hook it on the pole. And then once I put the inner tent in, I can just kind of unhook that and clip this into the inner tent and then tighten it up ever how tight it needs to be. So there you have it. Make your own Tyvek. And what I didn't show you was the 14 things I did and tried until I got to this point. So you just get to see what I believe is the easiest way to do it, to make this, to lay it out, to cut it. Other than cutting in from the sides. The cuts in from the sides, you would want to set your tent up, get a really good pitch on it, and then cut in as much as you needed to, about 3 inches from the side, so that you don't get rainwater between the Tyvek and your inner tent. That takes care of the Tyvek.
Well, good morning. Arnie made it through yesterday. We're at the South Holston River, and she's getting ready to set out this morning for Mount Rogers headquarters and the partnership shelter. Today's a milestone because it means that she'll get 100 miles today.
Finally, we will have logged 100 miles on the Appalachian Trail. That's about 38 in Georgia, and leaves what?
62.
62 in Virginia. It's been a blast. Has it been a blast?
It's been a blast.
Are you going to get out and hike today?
I'm going to hike a little bit today.
So, all right. We're going to hold him to that.
Okay.
So everybody have a blessed day.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Give him a deal, Arnie.
Oh, he's such a hoot. Haven't seen these in a while. High steps. Not made for short-legged people. Fortunately, there's only a few. Want to adopt a trail? Contact the Piedmont AT Hikers Club. They maintain the next 64 miles of trail. God bless the trail maintainers who cut the trees after they've fallen, do a lot of other stuff. 7.8 miles to the partnership shelter. Well, so far the uphill has not been too steep, and it keeps leveling off like this. It's very slightly uphill to give some respite, and it looks like we're going to have a pretty nice day. That's our blue sky looking over around the west side. Coming back around, we came from there, and then you'll see the sun. I'll keep it down here below it. Sun just rising above the mountain over there to our east. There's the road down there. So far it's looking pretty much the same as what we've seen the last several days. Nothing really unusual or different. So we'll just keep on heading uphill, and hopefully it'll continue to be, 900 feet over 4 miles. It doesn't have to be steep unless they save it all to the end or something. AWOL's elevation and the other map I have, National Geographic map, the elevation maps, they look like they're probably not super steep at any point, but those maps, the scale of them, sometimes you can miss it. I think G has said before, or he said in our introduction video, that we can look at those maps, but they don't tell you what the terrain is going to be like. So you don't know coming up here if this is going to be a nice, just trail-like trail here, or if you're going to come up and have a billion rocks to climb over and between and negotiate. So it's always a surprise when you start out every day to find out what you're going to be facing that day. But this is great. Couldn't ask for anything better than this. I'm going to walk under the broken tree here and continue northbound. Well, we came up all of a half a mile, about 200 feet up from 2444 to 2648. First time in days I've taken off my wool turtleneck sweater, and I took off the fleece jacket because we got nice sunshine, and I think we're already up to 40 at least. My fingers aren't getting cold anymore, my nose is not cold, lips, everything seems to be handling this pretty well, so that's great. I did go ahead and leave my bright orange wind jacket on because I heard gunfire yesterday, and I don't really know what the hunting regulations are around here, but I do know that sometimes locals don't follow all the hunting regulations, so I figure it's best to keep the bright orange jacket on through these woods. And I did actually see at a distance two deer run by real quickly, so I'm sure there are plenty of deer. And yesterday we saw one, the day before I think we saw one. Haven't seen any at a place where I was able to get any pictures of them, but they've flashed by so quickly. But they're out here, so I don't know, hunting season may be over, but that doesn't mean that there's nobody out here hunting. So we want to be nice and visible. And I want to check back, make sure I didn't leave anything. And continuing northbound. Water crossing number 1 for the day. This is pretty steep down on wet leaves and rocks. The water's flowing enough up there, you could get some water here. According to gut hooks, there's supposed to be a campsite right in this area, but I haven't seen it yet. Pretty little stream. Brook, creek, I don't know what you call it. I don't know if there's some technical way to tell the difference between a brook, a stream, and a creek. Whoever names it just decides what it's going to be. And I think my nice easy trail has ended. In the next 3/10 of a mile, I think we're going up about 150 feet, so it's probably going to be a fairly steep climb. So we're getting ready to spend some uphill time. We're going to call the partnership shelter our 100-mile milestone. Just seems weird calling it a milestone when it's taken us so long to do it, but mostly that's because of cold weather, family situations, and just our needing so much rest in between hikes. Anyway, so we're section hikers, I guess, is what it turns out to be, but we are trying to go continually northbound from a location, and our hope is to come back out here and continue that. We're in a pretty forested area once again, very similar except something looked different, and it dawned on me that the trees for the most part are, I guess, younger. They're still very tall, but they're thin. I'm assuming that means they're younger. We're still in the Mount Rogers National Recreation Area. Check out the sky. From where we are at the moment, very nearly an Appalachian Trail day. A few real pale clouds in the sky. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. You really ought to get out here and hike. And we have an unofficial campsite, good for a couple of tents here on our left, next to a small stream over there that doesn't really seem to be running. That's surprising. Everything's been running the last several weeks. Elevation 2841, and unofficial campsite number 2, next to a, quote, trickling stream. And there's room for about 4 tents down there. Looks pretty flat. Probably be a good place to tent. Might be a cold sink, though, at night, but if it's not too cold of weather, probably be a good place to camp. So we ended up on top of a ridge, and it looks like we're going to stay on this ridge for a little over a mile to our high point. We're at about 3,000, a little over 3,000 feet right now, and we're going up to about 3,383. So, but it looks like we're going to be on this ridge for that mile, 0.2 or 3, and even then some as we go some downhill after that. So that's pretty cool. You can see the mountains. There's the sun up there on the right, and we can see mountains to the west on the left. And the trail's gotten fairly rocky with small rocks. Not quite as easy, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. I believe that's looking down into the Rye Valley down there, which is a beautiful valley. As we continue on the ridge, and it's gotten a bit rocky, that's back southbound. Looking off to our east over there. And we're headed up here somewhere through these rocks. Can't see this in the spring and summer once the leaves are in, which is unfortunate because this is a beautiful view. Sometimes you wish they'd come in and cut down a few of the trees just to give the hikers a view. Well, the last 4/10 of a mile that we're going is up about 230 feet and to 3386, which will be our high point for the day. And this is the steepest climb so far today. It is fairly steep, so we're going to continue uphill. It's been pretty cool, but here we go. And speaking of cool, it's also been breezy and cold up here. I think going by my fingers, at least the wind chill is probably 30 or below. But we're doing all right because, you know, I'd gotten warmed up already, so as long as I keep my fingers covered, I'm okay. Continuing on up this steep hill. A couple more tenths of a mile. But it's great. Loving every minute. Well, we're about to reach the high point, and I just realized I was walking through this stuff. I haven't really seen anything quite like it before. Vines and branches, and not on the trail. But I thought it looked kind of cool. Just walking through the vines. Kind of looks like what you might see around a haunted house or something on television, or an abandoned property. Just pile after pile of small limbs and vines. Kind of different looking. The trail itself right through here is a little bit steep uphill, but otherwise easy trail. And we are at 3386, which appears to be our high point for the day. So just a little bit further ahead downhill to the Pugh Mountain Road, County Road, I guess, 601, where there should be a trail angel waiting. Well, I wondered when we were going to get to our daily requirement of a ledge walk. Doesn't go up real far over here, but it is up some and downhill there. Not a super steep downhill, but still wouldn't be fun to roll down there, especially if you rolled into a tree, I guess. But this isn't too bad. At least the snow melted that was probably up here a few days ago. Whoa, that's a little bit of a washout there. Well, we're coming up on Pugh Mountain Road. I guess that's how you pronounce it, P-U-G-H. And I do believe I see a trail angel. Hello. Well, that last half mile was really easy.
Great.
How are you doing?
Good.
So compare this these road to Georgia roads.
It's a lot narrower.
More narrow, huh?
Okay, well I had to shove 2 or 3 billy goats out of the way to get here.
Oh, okay. Well, fortunately you didn't meet any cars going the other way.
No, I haven't seen another one.
And
Probably a good reason for that.
I guess it's wide enough here for you to turn around.
Yeah, this is the widest spot in the whole thing.
Well, cool. Well, I'm glad you were able to get up here.
Yeah.
So you have ham sandwich?
Ham sandwich.
Wow, you're a true trail angel.
Yeah. All right, and there goes Arnie. We just had lunch. She's off for the second half of her journey today, about 4 miles to the partnership shelter. I'm gonna make my way down and meet her there.
Setting off again after lunch. What a nice treat to be able to meet G for lunch. And now I'm going 4 miles more with some downs and ups, probably adding up to 300 or 400 by the time I'm all done. I'm not sure. But anyway, and he's going to hike out to the partnership shelter with dinner, which he's going to heat up. I fixed it last night, got it ready, and that's the plan. So that's about 4 miles ahead. And so let's head on down the trail. Looks like we got some downhill to start, and not sure how far. I didn't really look at it that close before I left. Still got sight of a valley over there and some mountains, and lots of downed trees and vines, and it's just a mess. Well, we've come ahead about 4/10 since our little break at Pugh Mountain Road, and come up about 130 feet in 4/10 of a mile. Ended up back at about 3369. Look at that sky. It's breezy up here, and cold breezy. Well, the wind is getting stronger, the temperature colder up here on this ridge as time passes. So we're just going to keep pushing through and get off this ridge as soon as we can. It's still not 30-mile-an-hour gusts or anything like that, like it would have been yesterday, but it's a pretty hefty wind at this point. Not enough to try to knock me over or anything, but it's just cold. Kind of like right on the verge of stopping to put on a heavier jacket, but then I'll have an uphill again and it warms me up, and then when I'm going downhill it's cold again. So, you know, we're doing okay. It's incredibly beautiful up here, especially to the right, to that valley over there, the homes, and I know there's a lot of horses over there. Beautiful place to live if you want to live in a valley. One of the prettiest ones I've ever ridden through. Hopefully we'll be at the end of this before too long. But it's a blast. Just wish G was here. I think I'm going to call this the gnarly forest walk because it's just gnarly, messy. It's cool looking just because it's so different. Too bad I'm too tired to climb a rock. Well, if you got stuck up here, you get between those rocks and have a windbreak all the way around. I don't know what that means for the land in front of this sign. Just when you think you're in a wilderness, a real wilderness, power lines. Well, we're at mile 529.9. Power lines are at 3307 approximately. We're going to continue down after we do this little uphill to right around 3,000 feet. And then I think after that we're going to go uphill again. No horses, no motorcycles, no bicycles, just foot traffic. There's a little green in here now. Trail's been great. I mean, there were rocks for just a few minutes this morning and sometime today, but for the most part it's just been trail. The only thing that really makes this one tough is there's so many ups and downs. By the time I'm finished, I will have probably gone up between 1,600 and 2,000 feet if you add up all the up that we've done. So I guess I'll probably be fairly tired by the end of this day. Got a little ledge walk going on. The reason I'm filming this is because it's so wide. Usually when we're on these ledges, they're extremely narrow, and this one's nice and wide. The trail itself is 2 to 2.5 feet wide at some locations. You can go a little faster. I like it. Get ready for the climb. Hello.
Hi, Arnie.
Hello, G.
You have a good hike?
Had a great hike.
Good to see you.
Good.
The sun's still up.
Sun is still up. So This is it, huh?
Yes.
Partnership shelter. Well, I just arrived here at the partnership shelter. There it is. It's one of the nicest shelters on the trail. Thru hikers love it because they can order pizza, and pizza will be delivered here. So we're not having pizza, we're having Harmony House beef and stew. But anyway, this is a significant spot for us.
Yes, this marks 100 miles.
After several trips home for the holidays, birthdays, family need, and pneumonia, and extreme cold weather, we have no idea how many hiking days we've actually hiked, but finally reached 100 miles on the Appalachian Trail, so yahoo! Hopefully the next 100 won't take as long as this did.
Yeah.
So how'd you feel getting out?
Oh, it was good. I enjoyed it. I really didn't anticipate this thing being so close.
Look, he's made a fire over here. We're just going to sit here and enjoy this early evening. Is that the privy over there?
It is.
Well, I guess we're going to head back for yet another birthday. So we'll be off trail for a while, plus we're going to kind of watch the cold and maybe wait till the weather gets just a little bit nicer before we come back. You think?
I think.
I think we've had enough winter hiking for this year.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You never know. Hopefully we'll be back out here soon. Right, G?
Right.
All right. Good night, everybody. So we're sitting here eating this Harmony House beefish stew, and I don't remember having a pound of pepper in it last time. What happened?
Well, the toner said seasoned to taste, so I tasted it, and
I get it.
you know.
He seasoned it to his taste. He eats a half a bottle of pepper with every meal, no matter what. So anyway, it tastes good though, and I appreciate him cooking it, heating it up, and I especially appreciate him making this fire.
Well, the wood's wet, so it's not very impressive.
It was a minute ago, but he just put a bunch of new wood on it, so it'll be impressive again. Anyway, we're here in front of, what's it called again? Partnership Shelter.
Right.
Having a nice little meal before we get in our nice warm car and head west.
Bon appetit.
Now it's catching. And it's finally drying out, and so. Good job, G.
Thank you.
Good fire. Sure, I'm glad the fire ban got lifted. It'd be awful to be out here when it's this cold and not be able to have a campfire.